Hello, welcome to part 2 of the May wrap up. These are all the physical books and ebooks that I read in the month of May. This was my spring pick. Let's put it here. Okay, this was my spring pick. Rosamund Pilcher. She was one of my mom's favorite authors. So over the years, my mom is no longer living, so I've been trying to read through these books. This is a short story collection, Flowers in the Rain. This was really good. I actually marked a couple stories that I really liked in case you're ever interested in reading this. I'm just going to tell you the names. A Girl I Used to Know, really liked that one. The Red Dress was another good one. I feel like there was a third one. So anyway, there were a couple stories in here that I DNF'd, which I always forget that you can literally DNF a story if it's just not your thing. If it's not meant for you, you can do that. You're allowed. So there were a few. I did not take note of which ones I didn't read, but the two I mentioned, I would say were my favorites. Rosamund Pilcher is basically known for writing about everyday normal situations in life, but somehow she is just magically able to make these everyday situations seem interesting because of just the way she writes. She's no longer living. We're not going to get any more books from her, but yeah, she's great. If you ever pick her up, her books are very much, I would say, contemporary lit fic. So next. So remember, I'm going to Germany in December. I'm reading a book a month, one book a month that is set in Germany. So this book is The Exiles by Ron Hansen. It's about a shipwreck, okay? This yeah, should be about a shipwreck, right? You would think so, because there's a ship on the cover. Can you tell I'm a little disappointed? I was a little disappointed. So this book definitely, it's a short book. It definitely talks about the shipwreck. I do not know how to pronounce anything remotely outside of the American or English language, American English language. But the ship is called the Deutschland, I think. And it was a German ship that really did sink in real life. And that is definitely in here. I want to say about half the book, maybe a little less. It felt like less to me, but we'll get into that. Is about the ship, the people on it, what happened, what were people thinking, feeling, what did they go through when the ship was sinking. It is a tragic true story because there were survivors who survived the shipwreck. Not many, but there were a few, and they related what happened and the screaming and the people who before they died and drowned, what they were screaming and what they were saying broke my heart. Because this ship, it sunk during, I think it's December is the month, and it's freezing cold out there on the ocean. So it's just horrifying what these people went through. Back in the 1875 is when this ship sank. So this was a ship that started in Germany and it was making its way to United States. I forget, I think New York is where it was going to stop, but they didn't make it. They only made it over near the Thames where England, Great Britain is, and they ran aground, and the whole thing ended up sinking, and just so sad. It made me really, really appreciate that we have technology on our ships nowadays. Sure, they can still sink. No, nothing's perfect, but they just didn't have the technology to know that they were going to run aground. They did everything they could to avoid it, but then it was too late, like they just didn't have the technology. They didn't have like the sonar or whatever it is that we use nowadays. So that was the part of the book I wanted to read about. Okay. The other half of the book was about this man in Wales. He's like a Catholic priest, and the other half of the book is all his point of view. And for the longest time, I'm like, why are we reading about this random priest in Wales? What does he have to do with anything? Well, turns out this book was really written for him. It's almost like a dedication to him, and I wish I could remember his name. I'm feeling really bad right now. Hopkins. His name is Hopkins. And if I had known this was going to be about some dude from Wales, that would have made more sense to me while I was reading it. I did not know that was the point. I was reading it because I'm going to Germany and I wanted to read about Germany. So, Hopkins was a real person, okay? He wrote a whole beautiful poem, which is published at the back of this book. So the whole time I'm like, why are we reading about this guy? I couldn't figure it out. He wrote this beautiful poem that's in the back of the book. The problem is everything about Hopkins, every like chapter or section where it was from his point of view, it would like go into like all this back history about him as a person. And I'm like, why do we care? What is this for? Why are we learning about him? And I mean, I did appreciate some of it because like, yeah, he was deeply affected by the ship sinking. He read about the ship sinking in the newspapers, and it just deeply affected him. He was so upset. He couldn't sleep at night. And he read that I think there were like 4 Catholic nuns who were German on this ship that sank with it, and they were quoted. Their dying words, their last words were quoted. Some survivors quoted them in the newspaper, and it just broke his heart, you know, imagining what they went through and what everyone went through on this ship. So but it just, his parts were so boring to me. I couldn't help it. I can't help it. I was so bored. So I was almost DNFing this book throughout the whole thing until I realized I'm just not going to read his sections anymore. I would skim through his sections just to kind of see, okay, cool. This is how he became a priest. This is why I became a priest. All this stuff that I'm like, okay. So I started skimming, and then anything that was about the book or like about the boat or Germany, I read. So I did learn something about Germany. I wanted to find this and just reiterate really, or summarize really quick. So during this time, and again, this is 1875, there was a thing called the Falk Laws in Germany, which I found very interesting and creepy, because so during this time in history, Germany had created these laws. The German government, they were basically like jealous of the Catholic Church. I don't know how else to explain it. The German government was mad. The Catholic Church had way too much power, way too much money, way too much everything. And the people of Germany loved the Catholic Church, and the Catholic Church was in like great favor, high favor with the people. And the German government was like, no, we should be, Germany government, we should be in high favor, not the Catholic Church. So they started, basically, the government started persecuting the Catholic Church, which I had no idea this happened. These German nuns that get on the ship, they're just trying to flee the persecution from the German government. The Catholic Church isn't receiving any more funding. The government is now telling everyone to be Protestant and is basically giving incentives to switch over to Protestant. So the Catholic Church is running out of money in Germany, and they're running out of followers, out of support, out of power, and they're just kind of, you know, a lot of them are fleeing because now they're persecuted. So that's why these nuns were on there to begin with. They were going to go serve a mission over in Missouri, in the United States. So I just thought that was an interesting piece of history. So yeah, that's this. I think, what did I give this? 2 or 3 stars. I was so mad at how bored I was with that guy. Yeah, 2.5, 2.5 stars. Yeah, it was all because of Hopkins. I was not interested in his entire back history and stuff. I felt like, sure, it's fine if you want to talk about him, but I want more about the book itself. I want to hear more about the ship. So yeah, that was my final thoughts on that. All right. Okay, so next I read something completely different. This is The Puppet Show by M.W. Craven. This is book 1 in a series. It's a crime series. It's definitely police procedural. Okay, so I gave this one 4.5 stars. I rounded it up to a 5 on Goodreads. It was really good. I really enjoyed this one. So this is a thriller. I would say it's somewhere between mid to fast paced. I want to say about mid. It's kind of long. It may not be that long, but it went into more detail than I thought it would. But it's police procedural, so it makes sense that it would kind of go into detail on like what the police are investigating. So yeah, it made sense. Okay, so our main characters are the detectives trying to solve a serial killer, trying to find a serial killer, solve these crimes. This is horror. I wanted to point out this is horror, not just thriller. This is horror thriller. Because there are some really gross, graphic, disturbing scenes in this book. I just want to point that out. Like, if you're thinking about reading this, if you like gross, graphic, detailed serial killer, what he does to these poor people scenes, you're gonna get it right off the bat. I think that's the opening scene of this book is pretty disgusting. So I just want to throw that out there. Caution. He does some horrible things to these people before they die. I just want to say that, okay? So yeah, so we've got, but it's the characters that you just kind of fall in love with. So you've got Tilly. I would say she's on the spectrum. She's like she works for the detective, the police, whoever, I forget what they're called, and like whatever their version of the FBI is in London. She's in London. She's like their tech, researching from the tech side of things. Super, super smart. And her personality is so quirky. I love her. Then you've got Washington Poe. He is the other detective that is like our main character, who is very much your typical man, not so much on the spectrum. He's kind of the opposite. So they're kind of like, you know how opposites attract? It's not a love story at all, but they become friends. They become like besties, these two detectives. And then there's another detective that's kind of in and out of the story too. But Washington Poe is your kind of like your troublemaker. He's always breaking the rules in order to solve the case. So he's always on the verge of getting fired from the police, right? Like from the FBI, whatever it's called. He's like always on the verge of getting fired. But he did help, and he basically solved the case, so we can't really fire him. We've got to figure out how to keep him on the force, you know? So I just loved it. You've got this fun relationship between the two detectives, and then you are on the hunt trying to solve this serial killer mystery, and they've got to find him before he kills someone again, right? So it was really good. Highly, highly, highly recommend if you're willing to get through the gross, disturbing parts of this book. Yeah, it's really good. Okay, so next, the third book I read physically is The Mystery of Mrs. Christie by Marie Benedict. I loved this one as well. Let's see how many stars. Okay. I'm trying to find my notes on this one. Okay, 5 stars. I was thinking, I can't remember, was it 4 or 5? It was a 5-star book. This is so well written. It's about Agatha Christie. You've got 2 timelines of like when Agatha met her husband, which is Mr. Christie, and then more of like years, I want to say, trying to remember, maybe a decade or 2 have passed, and this is when the mystery happens to Mrs. Christie. I loved it. By the way, this was Lauren's birthday pick. She ended up picking this book for her birthday. So I read it for her birthday in May. Sorry, I have allergies and I just cannot stop itching. So my notes on this book. So this is historical fiction. It's a mystery. It's like a real life mystery, but of course this is still fiction. It's about when Agatha Christie really did disappear, and the police, everybody's out looking for her. And it takes on the possible motives for if she did this on purpose. Did she go missing on purpose? Because she is a fiction mystery writer. So it was very much hypothesized back then and now that she may have gone missing on purpose, because that's kind of what she does, isn't she? Right, that's what she writes about, or these mysteries. So she has everybody looking for her, right? And her husband kind of sort of knows the truth of what's going on with her, kind of sort of does, kind of sort of doesn't. So he's panicking. This disappearance is going to be pinned on him, right? Because the husband always did it, you know what I mean? So he's freaking out while she's missing. And so, yeah, I thought this was really good. It's all about, it goes in depth into Agatha Christie's life and her marriage. And I don't know how much of that was fact versus fiction, but it was so interesting to read about. It is fiction, but I just love this. I can't wait. I'm going to read more by Marie Benedict. I have another one of her books on my shelf. I'm hoping to get to it one of these months. 5 stars, go read it. Next, we have Managing and Other Lies by Willow Heath. This was another really, really good one. Oh my goodness. I had such a good time reading this horror book. It's a compilation of short stories. Let me see my notes here. Okay, I gave this 4 stars on Goodreads. This one is, okay, I have a hard time saying this word. Epistolary? Epistolary. Meaning, some of these stories are written like journal entries. Some of them are written like people commenting on YouTube videos, that kind of thing. Like it's, or like WhatsApp. Yeah. So we have a little bit of a mixed media going on, and it's a queer horror compilation. Oh my goodness, I loved these. So Managing, the title of the book, that is the title of the first story in here. It's about half the book. This is a very short novella-sized short story compilation. Half of this is the first story. There are some gruesome things in this book. I want to point out. I mean, it's horror. I think it's kind of obvious, but check your trigger warnings. There are some pretty gross, disgusting things. The first story is kind of like a haunted house type of story. Really, really good. It's an open-ended, you don't really know exactly what happened kind of a vibe. Then we've got Chloe.Claire1. I think that one was my favorite. That one is a YouTuber is receiving these messages from one of their fans, and this person is commenting and replying to things on this person's YouTube channel, and it gets interesting. Okay, there's A Mother's Love. That one's really good. I think I liked all of them. We understood each other perfectly. Okay, the only one I didn't understand that I was a little confused, I felt like it went over my head. There was only one, and I think it was Little Blue Sticky Notes. It's in the style of a play. Hold on, it's this one, I think. Which one is it? Nope. Okay, sorry. It's the one that's called A Mother's Love. This is a play, like a screenplay. This one, I felt like it just went right over my head. I was a little confused. I still enjoyed it, but I was a little confused during that one. But I digress. There are 6 stories in here. I absolutely loved 5. The other one I was a little confused about. Who cares? That's a me thing, not an everyone thing. Highly recommend. Go check this out. Go get it on Amazon. That's where I bought it. Willow Heath has a channel here on YouTube. She does book reviews, all that kind of stuff. Go check her out too. Oh, I don't even want to talk about this. Theo of Golden. Okay, this was the book club. So I attend a physical in-person book club, community run, locally community run. This was the book. I bought this. I DNF'd it. I did give it a rating on Goodreads, but then I later took down my rating because I just could not decide. And I personally have a hard time rating a book that I didn't entirely finish. I did get well over halfway. I want to say I got 2/3 through here, and I was like, okay, I'm done. So I couldn't decide on the rating, but so this is a DNF for me. I wanted to like it, but it's one of those books that I knew wasn't going to be my genre from the get-go. I only read it because my book club was reading this for the month of May. Okay, so I would say this is lit fic. There's a little bit of a mystery in here. So this is Theo of Golden by Alan Levy. Everyone on the planet is in love with this book. I feel like literally everyone is in love with this book except for me. I just could not get into this. I tried so hard. What really I had the hardest part with is, so, Theo, he's going and meeting all these people. I don't want to give away the book, but he's meeting people in the park. If you've read it, you know what I mean. There were just way too many people he's meeting in the park for me. I started to get really bored. I'm like, do we have to meet another person in the park? I don't know what it was about it. I was like, can we get to who he is, who Theo is? To me, it dragged because of that. I was at a point where I was like, okay, we know he's meeting these people in the park. We're learning life lessons, which I found very interesting. But I just got to the point where I was like, I just can't. I can't read this anymore. I was getting too bored with all these encounters in the park. So that being said, I do want to say that there is a quote in here that I loved, and I'm going to read it really quickly. It's on page 161. And okay, so here it is. So Theo is talking to someone in the park, and this is what he says. The older I get, the more convinced I am that every hurt the world has ever known is somehow the fault of every person who ever lived. Maybe not directly and never entirely, but somehow I fear we own all of the world's hurts together. I believe that wholeheartedly. This book, Theo is a Christian. He talks about his faith a lot. That's totally fine. I'm not Christian. I'm a humanist. So, which is kind of a subgenre of atheism, except I believe in people should be helping each other and taking care of each other as a humanist. So just wanted to interject that. But I felt like if someone like me, who's a humanist, who's not Christian, can agree with the sentiments of someone who is a very faithful Christian, can't we all just learn to get along? Can't we all admit that when things are happen to you that are bad, that we're all in this together. We all had a part in it. And maybe we should use that to heal together. I don't know how to express what I'm trying to say, but hopefully you understand what I mean by this quote. Can't we all just get along? If a Christian and a non-Christian can agree on, you know what, we've all hurt each other throughout history, it's all our fault, and we should all heal together, can't we all just learn to get along? Okay, but I DNF'd it. I couldn't get through it. Oh my gosh. I said in my May TBR video, this one was the book I was afraid to read. That was my prompt, right? Yeah. Afraid to read. I was reading a book that I was afraid to read. Now, I said the reason I'm afraid to read this is because I've had very bad luck with reading Freida McFadden's books. I've read 3 of her other books, 3 of them, and really just didn't like them for various reasons. I liked this one. What happened? So it's The Intruder. I gave it 4 stars. I can't believe it. So I don't know. It took me reading 4 of her books to find one I liked. And maybe this is a newer release. I think it came out maybe fall or winter of 2025. Maybe I'll like her more current writing style. I don't know. But while I did feel that things were a little conveniently laid out in this thriller, okay, the mystery, the things were just a little convenient, I didn't mind it because for me it worked. I enjoyed this. And by the way, I just want to point out, oh, it's upside down. What is she hiding? It's got the sprayed edges and the raindrops. Isn't that cute? I don't think I have any other sprayed edges books, so this is cool. By the way, this will be going up on Pingo if you're interested. But anyway, yeah, I really enjoyed this one. So yeah, I gave it 4 stars. Where are my notes? The Intruder. Okay, so this was a fast-paced thriller. I would call it a popcorn thriller. We've got a single woman trapped in a storm. There's all kinds of elements that are making her very nervous. And then suddenly she sees someone in the middle of the storm. It's like, are they trying to break into her house? What's going on? I don't want to give away who it is, but okay, what is she hiding? That's referring to our main character that's the single woman trapped in a storm in her house out in the middle of nowhere. But there's also an intruder that's a female. The intruder is female as well. And what is she hiding? So, so anyway, we're getting dual point of view. We're getting a younger girl point of view and then an adult girl point of view, and then things happen and it's very, yeah, I liked it. I thought it was fun. For a popcorn thriller, this was enjoyable. Yeah, read it if you want just like an easy fun read. This hit the spot. But I'm gonna go over this first. My bingo card by The Youngs and the Restless. Check out their channel. They do these fun TBR bingo games and stuff. So yeah, check them out for sure. Okay, so I did get my bingo. Okay, so the first book was Theo of Golden. I mean, I DNF'd it, but I read most of that book. I kind of, you heard me. So anyway, that was a commandment book a friend told you to read. My book club told me to read it, and they are my friends. So that was the first check off the list. Next one is, it's a trifecta. Multiple point of views or timelines. I read The Intruder for that one. Then we have The Winner's Circle, which is award winner. The Puppet Show, that other thriller that I read by M.W. Craven, that has won multiple awards, or that series has won awards. Lauren's Pick, that was The Mystery of Mrs. Christie. And then this is like a free pick. Yeah, I read a whole bunch of books. So yeah, I made bingo. Yay. And you know what? 5-star, 5-star, 4-star, and DNF. I didn't do too bad. I have 2 ebooks that I'm going to go over. They were both e-arcs from NetGalley, and they both happen to be LGBTQ author books. You know what I mean? So the first one, and they both got 4 stars. So the first one is You X Me by, these names are so hard for me, Ayla Vejdani. I'll put up the book so you can see it. Again, this is a 4 stars. I did an e-reader, so not an audiobook. So this one was LGBTQ plus relationships and love. I would say it was sapphic trans relationships and love stories, and interconnected stories. So the stories, it's a book of short stories basically, but they're interconnected. And a lot of it was about, like, as a trans person or a queer person, what it is like to try and date for the first time, and that kind of almost like a coming of age. Some of the stories are like that. So I did really like that one. It's not my genre just because I'm not into romance, but I did find that I enjoyed this book anyway because it wasn't just the romance. It was also exploring the relationships and what it's like to be these people and walk in their shoes. And I love that. So really good. Check it out. The other one was Sicko by Avril Grady, 4 stars. I'm smiling because this one made me laugh a lot. This is also LGBTQ plus. It's a thriller and it is hilarious. It's about a gay man that writes porn for a living, and his lover gets murdered, and the police are trying to pin it on him. Like, he's like, I did not murder this man that I've loved all these years. I did not murder him. And so he's trying to, like, solve the murder before he gets put in prison for killing his lover. So it is hilarious. It has, like, the main character, he's like this flamboyant gay man who's aging. He's like coming to terms with that he's not young anymore. He's no spring chicken. And the dating scene just isn't what it is anymore. And the fact that he's a porn writer is interjected into this, and some of his stories the themes are hilarious. There is some language in here. I want to point that out. This is an adult book. Okay, there is some language in here, and it's all due to the sense of humor of this man that he's really just trying to get through life. And now, God dang it, now the police are out to get him for something he didn't even do. And so we're just along for the ride, laughing through it with him. And well, he's not laughing, but, like, everything he thinks and says is just so funny to me. And it's very humor. I mean, honestly, it was hysterical in some parts. I mean, I was laughing my you know what off. Like, it was so funny, but it's also a thriller, so we got to figure out who done it, right? This is a murder mystery thriller, and it's short. The ebook, I want to say it was like 200 pages. Like, it's short, so you can just breeze through this. Okay, you're gonna breeze through it, but highly recommend both of these books. Totally different. The 2 ebooks, totally different from each other, but they were both so funny. Or sorry, they both had their pros. You know what I mean? So yeah, check them out. All right. Thank you. That is it. That is it for May. Thank you so much for watching. Please, if you wouldn't mind subscribing, giving me a like, giving me a hype, whatever you're in the mood for today, give me a comment. I would love to hear from you. What did you read in May? What was a 5-star? What was a DNF for you? I would love to hear all about it. I love chatting back and forth about books. All right, have a great month. Talk to you later.